All right, guys, so we're working on Jerry's International today. Let me take you down here and show you what we got going on. We're just making a new kind of filler piece to replace the factory side step. We really didn't like the way it looked. It didn't flow with the bedside, it didn't flow with the fender. It just all around kind of looked weird. So Jeff Allison came up with this really cool kind of new, sleeker design, and I'll show you how I went about building it.
Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Keeps you up at night, yeah.
So when I first started, I took a template of the stake pocket, the cab corner, and also of the Stepside fender. So I had all my different shapes. I started with a flat piece of sheet and ended up rolling it on the slip roll with our two different radiuses, and then I put it in our finger brake and broke the top edge, which is the flange that goes up against the bed, and then we broke a bottom edge that comes down here and gives us this nice new body line. And then I broke this bottom piece here with a flange on the top and a flange on the bottom, which will end up tying into the bottom rocker down here. So one of the main issues was the original factory stake pocket corner had a really wide radius, and it also was a little bit farther back here, so the factory gap between the bed and the cab was super wide. So I went in and I formed a new piece, and we tightened that up and gave it the same curvature as the back of the cab. So you can see that here on the drawing where this has been tightened up. And then the idea behind the big swoop here is that once we get back into the back section with the tailgate, we're going to do a roll pan, and we'll sink the tail lights in and make custom housings for them so it all flows down the side of the truck. So basically the goal when I made this upper piece was that we wanted it to run like it was flowing through the fender. That way when everything's painted, you don't see like a light line or anything down. So we basically made this flange to take care of that. When I started to make this piece, I cut a flat sheet, bent it up to a 90. It was just an inch by an inch. And then I used our shrinker stretchers and I just shrunk it to the right radius all the way through and just kind of played with it back and forth until it fit the Stepside fender shape correctly and then also fit my filler panel correctly. So then after I got that kind of fitting good, I cleat-coated it all in place, made sure there was some Dykem on there and ran a nice scribe line, and then went back, cut to my scribe line, hand filed, and now I'm just starting to fit it up, and then I'm gonna tack it here shortly. Once that's tacked in, I'll do another test fit with my filler panels. They'll go back in here, get bolted on, and then I'll come up here and I'll cut my line into my filler piece down from the front of the cab and wrap right around into this corner so it looks kind of like it's just made to go there.
Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah. I think that we've all had enough.
Kind of working on getting the last final touches on this wrapped up. I've had this thing on and off the truck about 100 times, and hopefully we're down to like maybe one or two more. So this morning I capped both my ends, got those sorted out and welded, ground smooth, and radiused out. And then right here in the stake pocket, where it lines up with the stake pocket, I went ahead and made a flange that comes in here, got that shaped correctly and matched up really nice. And then right now, what I'm working on is my very last flange, which is gonna sit down in here. And this will basically just clean up the gap between the front of the bed and the back of the cab. And we'll get everything tied in. I'll get this tacked in and then weld it out. And then I'll come back and I will cut it down to about 3/4 of an inch all the way down, just so it gives it a nice flange, nice folded over edge and just kind of gives it a finished look. Yeah, once I get this last flange kind of on there and dialed in, I'll get it thrown on the truck and mounted up, and we'll show you how it looks. I need 2 more mounting points into the bottom of this fender to tie in. So we've got this nice little dimple die set. So I'm gonna put some dimples right in through here, right where these holes are. I'll dimple that down. I'll open the hole up to fit the riv nut, and then what this does is it allows me to get this riv nut in here completely flush with the top surface right here. So when I put it into the fender, it'll mount completely flush. There won't be a gap or anything, so it'll end up with a nice clean body line. Yeah, so after we got the riv nuts in here, you can see totally flush. If you look at the backside here, you can see I did it with all these as well. What you can do too is if you plan ahead, I like to use Clecos. I plan all my Cleco holes out to where I want my mounting holes to be. So that way when I go back, I don't have to fill those Cleco holes. So when I use them for mounting, I just end up drilling those holes bigger and putting my bolt through. So save a little bit of time there, and just works out better in the long run. Another kind of crucial thing, whenever I'm shaping anything, and basically all the metal shaping guys that I know, we use light lines a lot. So when we're in bare metal, it's really nice because, you know, if you've got good lighting in your shop, you can kind of see, you know, the flow of the panel. So when you're doing multiple different radiuses, you've got reverse curves or things like that, I just kind of take into account where that light is hitting, and you want to make sure, hey, you know, if I'm trying to keep this flow this way, then both of those lines need to be the same way. So if you've got them kind of tapered in this way or tapered in this way, then you know you need to go back and start making adjustments, making changes, and really fixing that, because it makes a huge difference in your finished product. All right, so now that we got this all wrapped up, I'm gonna go grab Jeff and see if we get the old Allison approval. Hey Jeff, you wanna come look at this?
All right, let's take a look. Oh yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that contour matches the other side?
Yep.
All right, cool.
The only thing I've got left here really is I just need to shape these cab corner pockets. So just figuring out body line, where that needs to be.
Yeah, I think that looks great.
Okay, cool. Now the next thing on here is...
next I think we should move back here, do the taillight. Well, we'll chop the bottom of that box off probably, and
okay.
Yeah, just run that forward. Same radius that we had going up there, same gap.
Yeah, if you give me a drawing, kind of give me an idea where you're going with it, that'd be awesome.
All right.
So, and yeah, that should work out great.
All right, I'll go whip up some sketches.
All right, perfect. All right. So we'll get that in the next video. We're just about as wrapped up as we're gonna get on these filler panels in here. So the next step for me is I'm gonna take and make a pocket right here in this cab corner, so I'll get that all finished off. And then I think it looks like in the next video, we'll start working on the back end, and we got some cool stuff coming up.